wanted to chime in. I just wanted to take a minute and remind everybody, you and I are running that contest. And on Thursday, during our call with Jean Rivers, we're going to select 2 winners of Mike McCallowitz's new book, Fix This Next. It's being released on April 28th. We can pre-order it. So what we've asked everybody to do is to invite 10 people that they think would benefit from the calls and interviews that we're doing to our Facebook group. And from there, for every 10 that they invite, they're just gonna mark done on our wall, and we're gonna put them in for a raffle. So if you invite 100, you get 10 chances to win, and we're doing 2 books on Thursday. So I went ahead and posted the link again just as a refresher.
All right, so I just would like to start this off by saying that I have personally had the honor of starting my career with Adele, and the first 9 years I worked alongside Adele. I've been doing this 16, so she has absolutely given me a great foundation to some habits and activities that still stick with me to this day on a day-to-day. And I really just want to thank you. I thank you for everything that you've done for me to help me grow, not only personally, professionally, as a woman, as a mom. You have such a stamp on my life. I don't think we get enough time to really talk about it, but there are so many things that I catch myself and I'm like, that's Adele talking. So I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for me. So Adele DeMoro is,
thank you.
I will, you're welcome. I will let Adele, what?
I said thank you. I said it's good, the bad, and the interesting.
Well, yes, and that's part of this is we do get to see the good, the bad, the interesting. When you're growing something that's worthwhile, it's not always going to look really cool and smooth while you're building it. And Adele here has built an amazing organization, multiple businesses, and she has a fabulous story. It has inspired me to do what I'm doing, and it's inspired many people to do what they're doing. And I thought it was really a purposeful time, not to hear about the coronavirus necessarily, but what have we done in life to just get us where we're going. So Adele, I wanted to ask you, some of the guests may or may not know your story. And I believe your story of how you came into the business and then how you became KW sets a wonderful example that if you have goals and time on task over time, and you got that grit and you aim for it, you can hit anything. So can you just share with us a little bit about how paying property taxes on your home in New Jersey started out this amazing real estate success that
and Adele, you may have to talk loud if that's okay.
Yeah, just let me know and say do that. So I was so surprised when I saw that on, maybe we could talk about that, because that was so long ago. We moved here in 1991, almost 30 years ago. And the deal was, by the way, I have 5 children. I have now 9 grandchildren. I'm 65 years old. And we lived in a really small home in New York. I'm a real New Yorker. And it came to a point where we were just busting out of the seams. And my husband said, we got to move. And so let's go to Long Island, go to upstate New York, or go to New Jersey. And New Jersey had property taxes. So we found the house we loved, a great realtor, and it was like $3,000. And he said, you're gonna have to pay that. That was the big to-do. And so I did. When we moved here, really interested, and I believe in divine appointments. I went to the mall. It was just being built, the Freehold Mall. And you could work at the mall, but you had to work on Sundays. And I'm a woman of faith. And my husband's Italian, we have to have macaroni. So, that wasn't gonna work for me. On the way home, I stopped at a diner. It's called a Manalapan Diner. Never went into a diner in my whole life. And as I was sitting there trying to figure out, God, what am I gonna do to earn this money? Out of the kitchen came the owner, and he was really crazy. And he said to me, what are you doing here? You looking for a job? And I said, yes, actually I am. And he says, do you have a white shirt? And I said, yeah, I do. He says, do you know how to waitress? I said, I have 5 kids. And he said, well, if you get your shirt and you come at 5 o'clock, you have a job. Boy, I ran home like a bullet. And I came back and I started working at the diner. I worked for 4 months, and I will tell you, it was really a great opportunity to learn the area. I got to know so many of the young people that would come at night. They put all their nickels together to get fries. I'd give them free gravy. So, it was a good time. But that is where I met my broker, and I never knew anything about this broker deal. But this woman named Linda Trott, who I have tremendous respect for, she would come in all the time looking to recruit waitresses. And she never really looked at me, and finally I was like, hey, what about me? And at the time, I wound up going to school. It was $59, and I passed, and barely. And she said, you can start. And the interesting thing was that I thought it was a job. I thought I was going to get paid real money. And she said, no. And she said to me, well, you have to work, and you have to show up. And the first day I started was my birthday. It was July 12th. And I sat there by myself and cried because I had to just, work the phones, as they called it then. And that was the beginning. And I will say that I'm very grateful to her. She was known as being one of the top brokers in the area. She was learning based and would beat us. There was just 12 of us. But she really would push us about numbers that we had no idea. But I was eager, and and I did my whole thing. I went to training, and I'll say that over and over because I was trying to answer some of the questions that Mary Beth, and all the time it came back to one thing: anyone can be successful as long as you're willing to be learning based. So I went to this thing called Ignite. It was called Top Gun, and I became Rookie of the Year, and then I was hungry. And I think that in that book called The Greatest Team Player, you need to have three things. You need to be smart, people smart. You need to be hungry. And you need something else that I feel lacks. And that is you need to be humble. You need to be grateful. And when you're not grateful and you're pompous, it just taints the whole picture. Because there's a lot of people that are people smart, but they're not grateful, they're not humble. And so, that it diverts there. But, I started with Linda Trott and made Rookie of the Year and did really, really well. And I wouldn't work on Sundays, which was a real big to do in those days. And then from there, I just wanted a greater split in those days. Ladies, all we did was get 50-50. That was it. That was it. Everywhere, there was no such thing. But I went to a training with Joe Stump. We're talking years ago. And there were people there with jackets that had balloons on them. I really loved the jackets. And I said to them, what is that? We didn't have jackets. And they said, well, we're at Remax and we have jackets with balloons. So I came back and I told my broker, because they also told me that they got a higher compensation. And she said, well, we don't do that. And I said, okay. And then I went to NAR training, and then I started to go with a group, again, learning, going to the events, meeting people. Success is not built in a small circle, it's a big circle. And then I went to not Joe Stump. I went to
Howard Britton.
Howard Britton, yeah, I could see his face. And that's where I learned. I met Linda McKissick. And I met Linda and the Ubaldinis and Diana Cocosta. We're talking about 1996, crazy. And they were with the balloons and the whole to-do. And it was, great model. And then all of a sudden, they invited me to go to a Keller Williams conference. Family Reunion it was called. I was like, right away I said, oh, this is lame, family reunion. But what transpired was that I was building my business. I'm a hot mess when it comes to papers. So I learned at these conferences to have an admin. So my best friend, Evelyn, I paid her $5 an hour for 10 hours. And she came into my office to be my admin. And my broker was so upset. She said, you only get one chair, honey. And wow. She said, yeah, she said, so it's either you or her. And I was fresh. So I let my friend have the chair. And then I took all the MLS books. They were like phone books, if anybody remembers what those were. And I piled them all up and I made my own chair. and it just really irked her.
That's awesome.
I knew there would be some new stuff I learned.
So, I have a friend, Tina Hoffman, I love, and she said to me, you better knock this off. She said, because, so I started to look around to see, we did not have the balloons in my area. There was no exit. There was none of that. It was just your traditional models. And I went to dinner with many of them, of the brokers, and it was the same thing, it's 50-50. We'll give you your own desk. We'll give you a good chair. We'll give you 2 chairs. And then finally I met a broker, and she was very, very small. And she said, I heard you're looking around. She says, why don't you come sit with me? And no dinner. She just said, I'll give you 75% when you get your stuff. And I did. I picked myself up and I went there. And it was from there that I took my business to, I remember one year I made $24,500,000, and you had to have 25 million to be a platinum. And everybody was saying, like, just put a deal in there. And I said, no, I'll be afraid. You never know. And I did not. But at that time, my GCI, I'm trying to talk as fast as I can, was about 438. For some reason, I'm not a numbers person, but I remember that. And my royalty was $21,000.
Wow.
And I said, this is not cool. And so then I started looking, and then, like I said, I met Linda, and she kept always saying to me, you ought to go to Keller Williams. And I was like, I'm not moving to Texas. I just didn't understand the concept. And the other thing too was I never wanted to be a broker, not my thing. Sure. But time went on, and it was just what to do. And that was when I got the invitation. And I went to Vegas. It was in the basement of the Showboat. And and Linda was there, and Nikki, and Mike Mendoza. And that was how I came to Keller Williams. I went there. I thought I was, top dog. I was the only New York person there. And I wanted to meet this guy named Gary. So I snuck into a private meeting to which Mark Willis was the president. He told me, if you want to meet him, you have to go to a private meeting. So I walked in. They told me I couldn't go. And I told them, I said, well, I was told I could. So I walked in, and it was confidential. That's how my relationship with Gary was. Like, he says, I can't believe you busted into my meeting. And that, the rest is history. But I was the only Keller Williams I had to launch at. There was one in Princeton. Remember, man? There was one in Princeton, and we launched out of there. And there was one, the regional director was up in
Bergen County. He was in he was in Bergen.
Bergen County, right, just before you go into the Lincoln Tunnel. And that was it. That was how we started. And that was 2003. I faced a huge lawsuit, which was
actually
a real learning experience.
And Adele, I actually have some questions on how you got started, if you don't mind. Yeah, however, what is the name of that book? The Greatest that you mentioned?
The Team Player?
Yeah, yes, yeah. Team Player.
Okay, so the Team Player is a great team player, and it's by the guy that writes about the dysfunctional leadership.
The 5 dysfunctions of a team, Patrick Lencioni.
Yeah, I'm cleaning, so it's like everything's put away.
Thank you. You guys, we'll get that link to that book and put that in our Facebook group as well.
And somebody just mentioned that it was North Bergen is where Mo Bassi was, North Bergen.
Yep. So Adele, you really got into Keller Williams 0304. I, from Rhode Island, got in it in 06, and it was absolutely Keller Who, and it certainly must have been Keller Who for you, without barely any KW presence. And now you've grown to, you didn't want to be a broker. You were sitting on MLS books. You now found Keller Williams, and it's 2004. Keller Williams is Keller Who. And from there, you have built 4 insanely successful, profitable market centers, 2 additional business centers. For those of you who aren't with Keller Williams, those are what we call our satellite locations. What do you attribute your success to? If you had to say 1 or 2 things looking back, what are the couple things you did right and contribute your success to? Well, you did a lot of things right, yet what could we learn from you?
Be learning based.
Okay.
You're never going to know it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell, whenever I speak somewhere and my team leaders, the greatest memory is not like the greatest memory is still not stronger than the faintest pen. Learn to take notes. Take notes and be learning based. Go to the events. Read the books. Where you are mentally, because it's an inside job, is not going to take you where you want to go.
Mm.
That's powerful.
And as you grew, I'd love for you to share a bit of your journey, because I was on with you for a little while. And then since, there's some questions later on, is you really just exploded in the last few years. And I would say your market centers have grown and people's businesses have grown. And that is why an OP or a leadership team would grow, because their people have grown. So I guess my question is, you've had a journey, a long journey with leadership. What parts of it would you like to maybe share with us? You were the agent, you became an owner, you launched the market center. When I joined you, there were 40 agents. Currently, I was number 43, and now currently, how many agents are you at about now? Between
14.
Yeah, so now you have about 1,400 with 6 locations, a huge leadership team. So from the time that I was there as the 43rd agent to 1,400 agents, what were some of those stops along your journey that really were, monumental in who you are today?
I think that I became a regional director because our market center went up to 100 agents. You were there, right? Remember? Denise Santapia. And
Yes.
so I learned what I didn't know. And that is the models and systems of Keller Williams. Whatever it is that you're getting into, you need to learn what the models and systems are. Don't become creative until you learn the most important parts. And a lot of times, we're all driven people, creative people, sales people. I'm always an agent at heart. You have to almost have an inside battle with yourself to say, in order for me to do this, I have to learn. I can't be Frank Sinatra. I can't do it my way. You have to learn it. If you don't, you have the opportunity to do it over and over. I have a lot of top agents. I'm so blessed. I will say that. I have top agents. I think in our MLS, we have about 10,000 people, and I'm pretty sure we have about 100 Circle of Excellence producers. And we have more than that did not do the number of transactions. They killed it. They did it. And I will say that it's been learning based. I tell them all the time, if you don't follow the MREA book and learn the models and systems to build the right business, getting that admin first, and we know the rest of it. If you don't learn it, you'll just do it over and over. Over and over, you get to repeat it. That's the beauty about learning. You get to take the test again. Done it.
Well, you used to always tell me that education is expensive. And, you get to choose which way you're going to go. Are you going to pay for the conference and the classes and go and learn the models and systems, to your point? Or will you just fail forward, and there's a cost to that also, and maybe a lost deal, a lost line of referrals, a lost business opportunity? So there's always an expense to a lesson.
For sure. What were some of the most impactful challenges that you have encountered throughout your career as you ultimately built the DeMoro Real Estate Group? We know, as Mary Beth just said, lessons can be expensive. We all know that. One of your mentors, John Maxwell, always says, you either win or you learn. What were some of the most expensive lessons that you've learned?
There have been a lot. I'm not going to lie. I love when I met Mo Anderson, I think there were 6 of us at launch. And we had to really pay attention because she just stood in front of us. Thankfully, there were no phones or texting. But, she said, it's lonely at the top, but the view is terrific. And my broker would tell me that. And she said, if that's what you think, you're in the wrong place. She said, because coming to Keller Williams is a team effort. one person can do some nice things, but in order to go to the next level, you need a group, a great team. And I have to say that I do. I mean, I believe they're all on here, but I have a great team. I mean, we have from the high D to S team leaders that are killing it. I mean, we are a team. And I think that when you walk alone, and it's a biblical saying, woe unto him that walks alone. When he falls, there's no one there to pick him up. So in lessons that I've learned, I believe that was your question, is I've learned I'm not all that in a bag of chips. Everybody is probably smarter than I am, so listen. I've learned to listen. And I've learned something, I think when I first opened Keller Williams, and those of you that are new team leaders, new agents, new at whatever, in order to be respected, you have to become valid. When I
Can you
opened
say that again, please?
Yeah, I said when one of the biggest things that you need to understand is that, you know, respecting that it's earned. You need to become valid. If you're not valid, or when I first opened, none of my peers came, not a one, because I was just another agent. And they used to call me, I learned years later, I won't say who, they used to call me at the Coldwell Banker, Mrs. DeMoro, that I was a moron. It was okay. A, I didn't know. B, I'm not sensitive, so I wouldn't have cared anyway. I would have laughed as hard as they were. But the reason was because when you move to the next level, you probably, a prophet is not honored in their own town, and you need to know that. So you need to become successful, and then success will find you. It sounds so simple, but it's true. It's really true. So I learned
that a prophet is not honored in their own town, and you must get valid.
Yeah.
You know, I love that you're saying that, though, because I feel there is that struggle when as a team leader, when you have agents that are very they're aspiring to be the best. They want to go out there and take their first listing. They want to, and you know, and then they're going to do this and do that. And I just say, you know, not to sound like a downer, you got to earn your wings a little bit. You got to go through it. You got to have validity when you sit at a table with a seller or a buyer, that you know what they're going through, and you can get them through this in confidence. And that doesn't just come on day, you know, not even day 365 of having your license. So I love that you're saying that, Ad. I love you. So in your opinion, though, and what, you know, another question, Julie, the last part of that question is real important, is
what were the most fruitful experiences that you've encountered?
I think pouring into people. I'm different as an OP. That's an operating principle in Keller Williams. A lot of people would call that the broker owner. Because when I hire someone as a team leader, my strength is that I'm motivating. My weakness is that I'm a savior mentality. And I feel that if I hire you, listen, being a team leader, building a team, being part of anything is not easy. So I think that something that I've learned along the way, inspiring, or whatever your question was, that being able to stick to something in the good times and in the bad times. If you really want results, you have to stay. And I think that that's detrimental to many people. They jump from one thing to the next, and they never go deep. Fresh water is when you go deep. That's where strength is.
Wow.
If I answered your question, but
No,
that's what I'm thinking.
that
Moments.
no, you got me thinking, going small, going deep.
Well, because like you look at Mary Beth. Mary Beth was my first team leader. I was the worst. And you know, because I'm a high.
Well, hold on, time out. I was your 5th team leader.
Oh, was I? Okay. Well, actually, the market center, the agents picked her because, yeah, I was such a psycho. But really, and I've learned so much to chill out. I became a regional director, by the way. And because I had to be out of the way, I was able to allow her to blossom. And that's something that I learned. So that's some of the learning stuff. But and
I think Sally just said that you definitely have changed her life. Sally was my assistant team leader when I was with Adele, and so she's been leading that office since 2013, and that's 6 more years. Wow, Sally, right? So she just said you have changed her life, and I know it. I see it. Gina
And
Coppola.
oh, so many, so many. You know,
So many.
Mark Willis always said, he said, as an operating principal, your goal is to build team leaders. And I will say that it humbles me when I go to regional meetings and I see all you guys, you know, Leslie Cato and Dana. I mean, there's so many of you. And my goal now is to really help become operating principals. That's what's next. You know, I mean, I'm looking to step back. So that's been a highlight, Julie, that I just pouring into people have been a highlight, big time. Believing, almost believing for them.
Right. And, you know, I'm sitting here thinking we've got, I'm not going to tell you how many, but we've got some, you know, a decent amount of people on the call. And I'm thinking how your position as an operating principal relates to the team leader as an agent would relate to their getting their director of ops or their CEO or someone who ultimately builds to that level.
Buyers agents.
Yeah, and really just pouring into them. And I think that's a really great, it's a parallel. So if you're an agent on this call, think about what Adel's saying and ask yourself, are you leading your people the right way? Are you pouring into them? It could just be one person. It could be a part-time admin. And yet, are you pouring into them and ultimately making where you are a place that they would never want to leave? So thank you for that.
Because I address agents all the time. And sometimes I feel that agents, they don't think they're leaders, but really you're a great leader. When you sit with a seller and that is their greatest asset, I don't care if it's 250 or 2 million, you're the leader. And you need to lead. You need to be so powerful and influential that they're going to hand over their greatest asset to you. When you're working with a buyer, you're the leader. You are a leader. You're leading more people than I am, because you're leading, when you're doing 12 transactions, 6 transactions, you're leading 6 families and their families. So you are definitely a leader. If you see something that says leadership, don't ever say it's not for me, because agents are leaders of people's greatest asset. Mm-hmm. Ooh, what a responsibility. Glad I'm not selling anymore.
Well, and something else that's parallel to the conversation is that we're talking leadership. Agents, I find a lot of times if an agent is stuck, then maybe they haven't been plugged into the training. They've been so busy, they haven't had a chance to go to career visioning or something else that's offered in the region, or fly to, the law of the lid. Their lid is right here, and they're never going to be able to break through that unless they become learning based. So that message is not just for what you may be thinking is team leader, OP, coach. This is also for our real estate agents.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
So in your opinion, I mean, talk to us a bit about how you're doing with coronavirus. Everybody's okay over there? Richard, everybody at the house is good?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of eating, a lot of cooking. I have 5 kids. So I used to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We never went out to eat, only once a year, and that was Christmas Eve. Everybody had a velvet dress except for Dino had a little jacket, and I cooked every meal. And so now I'm whipping out all these old recipes, and my husband's like, that's good. I wish you were home more, you know, because he does all the shopping and the cooking. So what are we doing with coronavirus? I feel that this is a great, I mean, it's terrible that people are dying and really being sick, but how are we doing with it? I think it's a real time to evaluate what you're doing. I mean, I was supposed to go to Arizona, then I was supposed to go to Austin, then I was supposed to do Quantum Leap, then I mean, like 50 things. I actually have my calendar on the floor, just make sure I'm at all the Zoom calls. It's one of those things. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. One of my team leaders, Sean, he says I should get a shirt that says Zoom University.
Totally. Jeff and I were actually talking about that earlier today. You know, missing a Zoom call here or there. Oh, are you registered for this one? We literally had to map out our calendars for all the Zoom calls. The one thing that I have to say is working really well for me right is I can wear my leggings and just have a different cute top every day because that Corona 19 for sure, I think has put 19 on me. So we can get to that before we move on.
Well, you mentioned the cooking and stuff, and it kind of leads into this question here. But I want to say, like, you had models and systems ever since you had kids. I'm assuming you've had models and systems your whole life. You just maybe have not your habits, right? So I remember when you said you moved to Jersey and Monday night was a certain meal, or maybe not even Jersey, just raising your family. Monday night was a certain meal, Friday was this, and that's what they got. And so, Julie, would you like to go into that next question?
Yeah, so what can, actually, you know what, I was looking at this question that somebody's asking us on here, and I might ask that if you don't mind before we
go ahead.
Marilyn is asking, how can we and how are we taking care of our health and our bodies during this time? If you typically go to a gym or yoga, we're in our house. So Adele, do you have any suggestions for us on that? And they say cookies don't count.
Well, you're not going to believe this, but I'm losing weight.
Wow.
Because I saw a nutritionist, and like I said, I'm 65 years old, and she told me to learn my macros. And I said, macros, what is that? So long short of it, if you look it up, it's what you eat, everything falls into fats, proteins, or carbs. And this girl lived on carbs and fat. And I learned to eat protein. Yeah, and so I really watch. I have a yogurt, I have a shake with protein, and it killed my sweet tooth.
That's great. I love that.
It's been really crazy. Taking a walk, because we're on the phone all the time, just walk around the outside of your house. It's really important. If you don't, then, you're going to compromise yourself. So, I do believe in time management. So I do I try to do the walking, or I have a Peloton. Peloton is fun. The walking is probably healthier because you're breathing outside.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I know that health is really important to you, and I know that the mind is really important to you. That's something in the family that I know is important, and so I'm sure you guys are keeping safe and active, and I keep you guys in our prayers. But as far as the cooking, my question there was leading into the lady question, because I think you've been a great example as a mom and as a sister and a daughter and all that, but then also as a businesswoman. And no, it doesn't always look perfect, but I would love to see if you could give some advice to the wives, the mothers who are listening, and some insight on how to balance that. What does success look like in those roles? Because you've exemplified that for me consistently, that it's not going to look perfect, and yet your family is constantly growing. Everybody's always together, and you just shed a little light on that as a woman in our business.
Well, I'm going to shed a light for women, but men, you're not going to get out of this. Because I think that we really, as real estate agents and whatever business you're in, we give 150% to our clients, and we do not give 150% to their families. And clients, buyers, sellers come and go, but your family is really precious and important. And so in being able to do all things, for whatever that is, Gary Keller taught me years ago that there's no such thing as balance. And I look at, like, let's say college students, which so sad right now that they're not finishing their years. You go and you go and you go, but everybody knows that there's that crunch time when you have to just go deep to finish your term papers and all that. And so you do it, and the beds don't get made, and college kids don't take showers, and they eat junk, whatever it is. You're going to go out of balance. It's how long do you stay out of balance? So as working people, men and women, moms, thank God, my husband went to work and I did everything. Now today it's changed, and which is really healthy all around. Men are enjoying, I think, a lot more of home life than they used to, involvement. But I think that time management is everything. And I had an old paper, I can't find it right now, that I had, and it just has, I'm a time blocker. So I will never go to breakfast with anyone because my mornings are so important to me. So, you get up and I have my, time of faith, my Bible reading and then also journaling, and I have all my John Maxwell books, and I take care of my mind. And people say, how do you read so many books? Listen, a chapter, a page, just always have them handy, so that, and then there's prime time. And prime time, whether it's from 9 to 10, you huddle with your team or yourself, get your papers together. That 10 to 12 time is valuable. That's when you have to be working. You have to be. And working is easy. Working is talking to other people. We're in people business, picking up the phone. I think the most amazing thing today is texting. I love texting. Text and a little little picture things, and then taking a break. In this time of being isolated, knowing that you got to make the calls, knowing that at 12 or 1, whatever, however you roll, that you have to stop and eat something and walk and check your mail, whatever it is. If you can go and make 50 calls a day, as long as you know that you're going to have that break time. Okay, you have your morning getting together time, and then you have that lunch time, and then you go again, and then you have coffee time, whatever it is, and then wrapping your day up. And then wrapping your day up so that I don't take calls at night anymore. As an agent, I did, but then when the kids came home from school, I didn't. And I learned that from someone. She'd pull in her driveway, try to wrap up her calls, and walk in and not tell her husband, shut up, I'm on the phone.
Mm. Wow.
And that can be from my case, it was from 3:30 till about 6:30 or 7. And then so my prime time, my family time, then I'd go back to work. Had a friend, Tina Hoffman, she'd say, if you're not on a listing appointment between 7:30 that evening, because that's how we did it, was such a commuting area, you better be on the phone. And that's what it was. Monday night, it was called Fizbos. Tuesdays was called expireds. Wednesday, I went to church, But yeah, there was models and systems. Thank you for asking.
Marietta, we've got a couple of questions that I'd like to dive into, if that's okay.
Please.
Raquel's asking, would you share some dialogue with us, Adele, that you're telling, that you're using or encouraging your agents to use with sellers to encourage them to list during this time?
Yeah, relationships are everything. And, so you need to not be shy. You need to call people. Go through your phone. I was taught whatever the day of the month is, today is the 14th, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever letter 14 is, and you need to go through your phone. You need to say, hi, how you doing? How's the family? What's going on? And if you feel, whatever, do you need to refinance? How can I help you? And, if you know anybody that wants to move, it's a great time to are you ready for this? It's a great time for us to do the paperwork. The minute, we don't know when this is gonna just stop, but the minute it does, I want you to be ready. So we're gonna get the paperwork signed. We're gonna leave the price, let's see what happens, and the date. And we know that it's not, enforceable, but you can get them to sign the listing paper. And then I believe that you give people stuff to do. And I tell, and I've been telling my agents this, go into your attic if you have one and start getting rid of stuff. Go through your closets and start getting rid of stuff. Get ready for the minute, because the homes that come on the market now or as soon as it opens are going to be the ones that are going to get top dollar. And I want you to get top dollar. That is the number one thing as an agent you need to be doing right now. And you will be surprised. I mean, I see all the listings that come in. They're coming in. People still have to move. We're an essential. We're an essential. So if I was an agent, I would just make it my business to call everyone I sold a home last year. Go backwards, go through the letters, whatever it is. They're not, those are warm calls. You're not cold calling. Those are warm calls. And there's someone, I don't want to say the name, he has 18 listing agreements signed.
Wow.
Awesome.
He has them cleaning. He says, I didn't think about addicts. I told him, make sure you clean your bathrooms. I was like, really? Get the house ready. Give them something to do for this time.
Yeah. One of the things that we're doing in our market center is we have an exclusive list going on. It's kind of just our log of all those agreements, so that if we do have buyers and our front desk is holding it, so you connect with her, and you can see it on our Facebook group. And maybe you have a buyer that's looking for that property. It's not on yet, but we've actually put a few deals together just through those lists already. So it still is servicing the client.
Yeah, we have a lot under contract. Mm-hmm.
Mary Beth, do you see this one here from Dino?
I do see one from Dino. Dino says to ask Adele maybe what she's doing to to keep her leadership motivated and positive during this time. You are the leader of the leader of the team leader, right? And how do you keep them running?
Dino, by the way, is my son.
Yes.
And he's priceless. So it's a great question. And I think not just for my team leaders, I think you could take this agents and keep your sellers motivated, okay? Keep your family motivated. A lot of people have become depressed during this. So what do? I do have Zoom calls. We were like everyone else having them every morning. And then that got tiring. I was trying to figure out why I was so tired. You know, you sit for a Zoom call for an hour. So I'd sit with my leadership, then I'm in 2 regions. I'd sit with the Pennsylvania region, I'd sit with the tri-state region, whatever was going on with KWRI, it became exhausting. And since I'm a time management person, I said 2 Zooms a day, although this is my 4th, but 2 Zooms a day is more than enough. Keeping them motivated, what we've been doing is we've been looking at the opportunity right now of how we can help the agents. I will tell you, those of you that know me, I'm about my agents. And sometimes to a fault, but my agents mean everything. And so we've really talked a lot about reaching out with the tribes, retention, finding out how's everyone over and over, reaching out to agents that are not in our company. Many of the companies, they've closed the doors, they've gone home, the managers, and I guess they're cleaning their closets, I don't know. But what am I telling them? To reach out and make the calls over and over. And I know who does it and who doesn't. I have to say that almost every single one of them is doing it, because they'll text me and they'll say, I gotta ask you a question. Hey, I ran into this person, I ran into that person. It's kind of, we have one fantastic agent, I'll say his name, Bobby Franco. Yeah. Everyone knows when Bobby got a listing, right, Mary Beth? Because listing. So, you know, and I have to use the Bible again, it says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you know what's going on with people. But that's really how, by staying in touch, by spending time with them. This morning I was on with Sally and Nancy for an hour, Zooming and planning and reviewing and see how I can help them, giving them scripts. We came up with some ideas that are great. You know, I think Monday we had yesterday we had everyone on the Zoom, MCAs and everyone going over our numbers, where we are, where we've taken a hit, relationship, speaking, encouraging. I read a lot, so I give a lot of little stories, you know.
You know, I know John Maxwell has been a huge influence. You brought him into my life, and I use him even in my church and my, you know, in all the real estate offices that I've helped grow and the people in my coaching. So can you give us what is it like to be so close to John Maxwell and to be able to, you know, have his attention when you need to ask him questions, and what is it like to be in his world?
John's I texted him last week because I have a John Maxwell Bible, and there was a part, and this is part of the 21 Irrefutable Laws, and that's about your inner circle. And I had texted him, you know, he's part of one of my mentors, you know, he's looking to do a community thing, to which he I'm sure, he's going to ask me to do it, and I'll be asking all of you guys to do it. But the thing about John is that John is very loving and giving. And I think that sometimes I'll hear people say and comment like, oh, I can't stand people. And I had asked John when we were in London about that, and he said, no. He says, don't ever say that. He said, God made people, and without people, we would be nowhere. And so I think his impact on me is my thought life. WW, what would John say? What would John do? So
Awesome.
It's really been great.
It's a great answer, Adele.
Do we
yeah. So you can go,
since we're on faith, Mary Beth.
Yeah, you can ask that one.
So Adele, you're a woman of faith. God Family Business is the Keller Williams way. How has your faith gotten you through difficult times in your life?
A loaded question, Missy. I think that everyone has faith somewhere, somehow. And I respect all faiths. I'm a Christian woman, and how has it gotten? For me, I think what the greatest part about believing is that I believe in the Word of God. I've learned a lot from the Word of God, how to treat people, how to have love. In fact, yesterday I read something that was so cool, and it says, I've not given you a spirit of fear, but of love and of peace and of a sound mind. And that really got to me because I keep hearing about depression. The truth of the matter is that no one needs to be depressed. Guess what? You need to be grateful. There's always someone in a worse situation than you. And so what do? Today's word was joy. Look to be joyful. Put your music on. You're home. Go ahead. Jam it out. Oldies, disco it out, whatever it is. It's about us. We're in control of our thoughts. And so the Bible talks a lot about that. It talks about your mind. And that's what's gotten me through, Julie. I believe, we have this situation, this crisis now, but even when we're not in crises, my faith has gotten me through some really interesting times. The more you build, by the way, folks, the more you have to understand that sometimes people show up and, they could be there for a reason or a season, and sometimes for a lesson. There are things that have happened during my career and that have been like, I can't believe that happened. I don't say that too often no more because it just happens, you just move on, you just have to, and look at what you do have. And then there's something that, I don't know how many of you saw this thing called Sight and Sound over the weekend. Sight and Sound is one of the biggest theaters in the Northeast. And I, Adele, have never gone to it, and I heard about it. So they had, the tickets are about $100, I don't know, maybe less. And so I was gonna go see Esther with my daughter from Michigan was coming in. And obviously it was closed, they were closed. And so they put their whole production live, Sight and Sound, this weekend. It was only for the weekend though. And so I sat there and I watched it, and they have 650 people as part of their crew. And they had all these animals and horses live. Wow. And I was so blown away by this. I'm a Broadway person. I love to go see a show. I love music, I love dancing. But at one point, they did a little video on how they started and then how they had a fire. And they lost everything. And this is important for us because at one point, the wife says, she said, we had a choice. And we have choices in our career. Do we say, forget it? Or do we sit down and say, I'm gonna pick myself up and go again? And she said this phrase, I didn't say this, I wrote it down in my journal. She said, we can be bitter with a capital I, or we can be better with a capital E in there. Either way you choose. You choose which way you're gonna go. So when something comes your way and you're disheartened, be bitter or be better. It's up to you. It was fantastic. I have to send it to you, ladies. It was so cool. So cool.
I'm reflecting on what you said, because it is so easy for us to get in our own way and everyone has things going on, whether it's right now or at different times in their life. And why me? And it's easy to let that self-talk come into your brain, into your mind. And, you know, we do need to be grateful. Just even being on this call, you know, there's people who are losing family members, there's people who are sick, and that's not just now, that's always. And if I think, you know, you need to, as you said, you get up in the morning and you take care of your mind. What are we doing to take care of our mind and making sure we're not getting in our own way and we're starting the day off positive? So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's our mind and our soul. You know, when we get hungry, we eat. That's the physical. We have a mind. We get bored, but we have a soul. We have a soul. And I see a lot of people chasing the wind, but
yeah.
God has a plan and a purpose. And sometimes when things do happen that are bad, I'm older than all of you guys, so I'm gonna make this statement. Many times the worst experience have been some of the greatest lessons, and for me have given me a tremendous amount of compassion. And I've gotten out of judgment and into curiosity because of some of the tough situations that I've had happen in my life.
Thank you. Matt Billheimer's watching this and he's going to go, all these things that you say, now I know where they come from. I always tell them, stay curious, get out of judgment, staying curious. Adele, go ahead. Julie, any other questions that you're seeing there before I go to the last question?
I think we got a good amount of them. Some people are asking for that script again. I think it'll be easier if we just ask you offline and then we'll get it typed up and get it on our Facebook page.
Which one?
The script was Sellers.
It was very easy though. It was literally, I think it's ready where you're ready to sign the papers. It's a good time to sign the papers, get the paperwork ready.
Yep.
Right.
We want to make sure we have it all done. So when this a garden hose unkinks, you are the first to list to get top dollar.
Right.
Get ready now.
So,
it's gonna happen. Get ready now.
That's right.
Right.
All right. So I have a 4-letter word for you. Next. So that's right. What's next for Adele? It's April, what is it? April 14th, 2020 today. What's next for Adele DeMoro?
You know, I do move slow. I remember when we were going to open up the market center in Jackson. I mean, I'm slow. I'm very calculating. And so I measure twice and then cut once. I think
cautious. Yeah, cautious.
Good word. I never describe myself as cautious. I jump off the Brooklyn Bridge given the opportunity. But what's next? I would love for my agents to really take this time and build themselves in security by way of understanding money, reserves in that, because I want to move to go to 2,000 agents. But I want to go 2,000 agents where the agents are really successful. I really, our training and everything, I want to see that. I want the buy-in for that. I just don't want to have numbers of agents. I want to have the most successful agents, and I want the agents to understand that when you're growing the way we're growing, and you're bringing in people, we're as good as the weakest link. And so therefore, I want to grow to 2,000 strong agents of culture, compassionate agents of wealth. Like I said before, I want to see agents go into leadership roles. People always say, I want to come work for you, I want a job. I go, well, you have to get here first and believe in Keller Williams. So that's what's next. I want to see, I want to retire, but not really, but I want to move back. I want to see what's next. Every year I want to be able to help someone become an operating principal. We have a lot of the owners that came in when I came in, and they're kind of, moving on, and they're looking for replacements. So what's next is to build leaders that will take over in Keller Williams and take this company to even a higher level than we ever did. We being my group when I came in.
Amen. Amen. Which is the same of what you've been doing, right? Leading leaders to great success. It's just to the next level. She's breaking through that E to P, and just, I know you're going to do it. You're amazing. Do you have any What?
Valerie Vargas. Sometimes she'll call me and she'll say, I hear you when I'm talking. So cute.
You have mini Adeles everywhere. So do you have anything that we didn't ask you that you want to share?
Look, I actually looked at everything. I guess, you know, as I look through this, it's the same thing over and over. Nothing new under the sun. Be learning based. Honor and respect your relationships. Get better. There's books like Ask a Better Question. There's so many books on building relationships. I think that things don't just happen if you're married. Get counseling, read books. Don't take anything for granted. Make it better. Make it better. How's that? Whatever you have, make it better. Your business, your career, your life, make it better.
Thank you. Julie, have anything else before we just close out?
No, I just want to thank you, Adele. This was great. I have a lot of notes, and I'm going to go back and listen to the recording. I couldn't write fast enough, but I appreciate you taking the time and being so gracious, coming on, being vulnerable. I know sometimes this isn't easy for people, and I'll share this now. You had over 200 participants on this call, and then I believe we're also live feeding. So you did an amazing job. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, you ladies are very gracious, and I will say this. You can have a business, this is Tony DeCello, of blood and guts, or you can have a business of grace and elegance. My wish for you is that you have a business of grace and elegance.
Thank you. And on that note, we would like to say thank you, and we will have this recorded to be able to share so that you can have this moment with your leadership team. And thank you. Thank you for your time. We're honored.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you. Have a wonderful week. Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys. We'll be putting this on our Facebook group. Don't forget to invite 10 people to be entered to win. And join us back here Thursday, 2 p.m. for Gene Rivers.
Awesome.
All right, bye, guys. Enjoy the rest of the day.
All right, bye.